We're on the record in cause number 326276, case is style of State of Texas versus Robert Frank Ramsey. Is that your full name? Okay, Mr. Ramsey, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Ramsey, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Mr. Ramsey, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Ramsey? Okay, Mr. Ramsey, the information in your case alleges that on or about December 13th, on or about December 13th of 2019, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, operating a motor vehicle in a public place, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated with an alcohol concentration level of 0.15 or more. Mr. Ramsey, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes.
And to this charge, Mr. Ramsey, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Ramsey, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1, which is the misdemeanor plea admonishments. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
On page 2 of this same document, Mr. Ramsey, there are a set of initials on a line that state nola contendere, which means no contest. Are these your initials?
Yes.
On page 3 of the same document, there's a signature above the line that's titled defendant, and that purports to be your signature. Is that your signature? On the next document, which is a trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And there's a signature at the bottom above the line that says defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes.
There's one box that's checked at the top of this document. That box states that this is a plea bargaining case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You have the discovery certification?
Yes, sir. It has not been signed by the prosecutor, but Mr. Ramsey and I signed it, and I'm sure that Ms. Ramos will sign it.
Mr. Ramsey, I have before me a document that is titled discovery certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And is that your signature on the second line that says defendant?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Ramsey, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Yes.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, you'd like to offer State's Exhibit number 1?
Yes, Your Honor, and I'd also like to offer State's Exhibit number 2, that's the probable cause affidavit for this case.
Look, Your Honor, to either.
No objection. State's Exhibits number 1 and State's Exhibit number 2 are admitted. Mr. Grove, you have advised and counseled Mr. Ramsey. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
None that I'm aware of, Your Honor.
And Mr. Ramsey, your attorney, Mr. Grove, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes.
Mr. Ramsey, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea of no contest and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor. It's for 1 year to be probated over 1 year, a $750 fine, 80 hours community service, the interlock device, DWI education, and drug and alcohol assessment.
Mr. Ramsey, the state is offering that you serve 1 year in the Jefferson County Jail. However, you'll not have to serve any time in the Jefferson County Jail for this case because you'll be put on probation for 1 year. During the 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $750 plus court costs, which comes to a total of $1,202. You'll also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month and a urinalysis fee of $15 each month. In addition, you'll be required to reimburse the county for the court-appointed attorney's fees of $250. And you will be required to pay the Jefferson County DWI education class an initial evaluation fee of $125. Should a further evaluation be needed, you'll be required to pay an additional $50. Now, your total monthly installments for this probation is $210. Mr. Ramsey, would you be able to pay the $210 each month? Okay. Now, Mr. Ramsey, you will also be required to perform 80 hours of community service. You will be required to install an interlock device on any vehicle that you own or operate. You would have to attend the DWI education class and have a drug and alcohol assessment, as well as adhering to the other standard terms and conditions of your probation. Mr. Ramsey, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just? And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes.
Mr. Ramsey, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Ramsey, please stand on the next where your attorney is, and you'll follow the directions of the clerk. And once you finish in here, you'll be free to go. You have a blessed day, and I thank Mr. Grove. This will conclude your case as well,
Okay,
and you're free to go as well.
all right, Judge,
You have a blessed day.
I believe I made an error on the plea papers. I believe that I put on there 180 days to be probated for 1 year.
Mr. Grove, I fixed that for you, the
It's-
paperwork.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I just
it's
didn't want
No
to.
problem.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. All right.
Sign it right in front of you, you won't be able to